Hi, Stan. I just want to. Hi, Stan. I just want to say that you are my biggest idol when it comes to telling a story and creating a creative character.
There's a man with taste and discernment.
And I want to ask, in your opinion, Green Goblin or Venom?
Oh, I kind of like Green Goblin because I didn't create Venom. But I do like the Green Goblin.
And Mr. Lee, thank you so much just for all you've done throughout your career in the comic book community. My question was, what's been your most favorite project that you've been able to be a part of throughout your career?
He said his question was. Now that's past tense. Does that mean he's not asking it now? You mean your question is? Okay, you stand corrected. It's okay.
A bunch of teachers clapping over there somewhere.
I'm only kidding. What was it? What is my favorite what?
Project, character project, I guess, right? Character or project, something like that? Yeah.
You know, I really don't know. I'm no good at favorites. I usually like everything I'm doing. Give you an example. Very often somebody will say to me, what's your favorite movie? And I'll name one, and then I'll think, no, then what about this one? And they'll think, well, how about this one? And before I know it, I got 50 movies, and I don't know how to have favorites. There are so many things that you like in life, and I don't know how to say, I like this one better than that one. And what was the question? My favorite what? Well, let me think. All right, my favorite thing in the world.
That's right. Could be a food.
When I went to Washington, President Bush, I don't know if you remember President Bush, he was one of the presidents. He gave me what they call the Medal of something. I don't even remember the name. The Medal of something. Around my neck with a gold thing. And he gave it to a few people. It was a big ceremony. One of the people, now here's a whole different story. One of the people was, who's the girl who always played with Errol Flynn, the heroine all the time in all his movies? Well, anyway, whoever that, yeah, Olivia de Havilland. See, you asked why I keep them around, now you know.
I just heard her yelling.
All right. So Olivia de Havilland got one of those medals, and then it was my turn. But when he gave it to Olivia de Havilland, he kissed her on the cheek. So he gives me the medal, and I don't know, it was a big formal occasion. I don't know what made me do this, but I said to him, you're not going to kiss me, are you? And he burst out laughing, and I was laughing, and somebody took the photo. I have it hanging in my office, me laughing with the President of the United States. So that was one thing I kind of remember. I have another one. With Ronald Reagan. I was at something somewhere with Ronald Reagan. And he was sitting at a table, and I walked over, and I stood and bent over, and he looked up, and he was talking to me, and I was talking to him, and somebody took the picture. I love writing what I think are funny dialogue balloons over pictures. So on that picture, he's sitting like this, looking up, and I'm like this, looking down at him, and I wrote a balloon from him saying, Stan, and I'm saying, yes, Mr. Reagan, and he says, would you pose for a picture with me? And it looks just like he's saying that, the way the thing was shot. That didn't get a big laugh. Let's go on to that.
Some people think you're the Watcher in the Marvel movies. Is this true?
Is there going to be a Watcher? Oh, then I'm the Watcher. Isn't that funny? I thought you said some people think there's going to be a Watcher Marvel movie. No, I made up the Watcher, but my problem is I have a short interest span. I wouldn't hang around watching that long. I watch for a couple of minutes and then I go do something else. I am not, if any of you have been worried about this, I am not the Watcher. That's about it. I'm not. Jimmy Palmieri, maybe. How the hell do you pronounce your name?
Palmiotti.
Palmiotti.
It's Lee, right?
I've
It's
known
Lee.
the man for 100 years. I've always called him Jimmy. All right, next question.
Jimmy's good enough. We're on friendly terms. Go ahead, buddy.
Okay. Hi, my name is Shane, and my question is about the 1966 animated Marvel superheroes cartoon. So my question is, how was the selection of the superheroes made with Captain America, the Hulk, Iron Man, Submariner, and Thor?
He's a hokey kind of bulky, kind of sulky superhero. Is that the music, really? Anyway, how did we just picked the ones we felt were the most popular. Am I looking in the right direction? I'm usually looking there and the guy is over there. If we took the ones that we thought were the most popular and would get the best ratings on television, that's all. So whoever was there was Captain America, there was the Hulk, there was maybe Iron Man, I don't remember. But that's why we picked them. It's a very cold, cruel, business-like world. If you're the most popular, you get ahead. If you're not popular, people stomp all over you. You go.
All right. First, before I begin, Mr. Lee, how are you?
Very well, and it was damn nice of you to inquire.
My question is, well, it's...
If you see anybody, it's all blacked up.
No matter who's talking on this side, you always look that way. And no matter who's talking on this side, you always look at... You're consistently wrong, and I give you credit for that.
all right. My question is, well, it's not mine, it's my mother's. This is my birthday present, actually, to meet you. But you know the saying, if mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. And she brought me into this world, she can take me out of it. But my question, or hers, is how did you come up with the web-slinging, amazing Spider-Man?
Well, I've told this story before, and those of you who've heard it are free to read a book or talk to each other for a minute. I had already done the Fantastic Four and I think the X-Men, I don't remember exactly, but they were selling well. And my publisher said to me, Stan, I want you to make up another one. Because he was greedy. And I was working for him and I wanted to keep my job, so I said to myself, I'd better think up another one. So I was home and I was trying to think of a character and I saw a fly crawling on the wall. And I said, wow, maybe, you know, in superheroes, the most important thing is what's the new superpower you're going to give them. And I was trying to think of a new power, and I thought, wouldn't it be cool if a guy could crawl on walls like an... No, I'm lying. They didn't have the word cool in those days. I probably said, wouldn't it be, no, there's another word, groovy. I probably said, wouldn't it be groovy? But anyway, I'm digressing. So I thought that would be a good hero. And then I thought, well, what would I call him? Because the names are important. And I thought, Fly Man, it didn't do anything to me. Insect Man, Mosquito Man. And then I said, Spider-Man. It just sounded so dramatic. So I went racing into my publisher's office. I said, oh, and I decided I'd make him a teenager, and I'd give him a lot of personal problems, and that would keep the readers interested. I ran into my publisher's office. I got your superhero. His name is Spider-Man. He's a teenager, and boy, does he have personal problems. So my publisher looked at me and said, Stan, that is the worst idea I have ever heard. He said, first of all, people hate spiders. You can't call a hero Spider-Man. Next, a teenager can only be a sidekick, not a hero. Finally, you want him to have problems? Stan, don't you know what a superhero is? They're superheroes. They don't have personal problems. So I walked out of the office somewhat dejected. Well, a little bit later, we were killing a magazine. I think it was called Amazing Fantasy. when you kill a magazine, nobody cares what you put in the last issue. Just to get Spider-Man out of my system, I had Steve Ditko draw a story, and I put it in Amazing Fantasy in the last issue, and I featured it on the cover and forgot about it. A month later, after the sales figures came in, my publisher came racing into my office. Hey, Stan, do you remember that Spider-Man character of yours that we both loved so much? I swear. And he said, let's do a series. And that's how Spider-Man was born.
How old were you when you came up with Spider-Man?
Let's see, it was 62, and I was born in 22, 32, 42, 52, 62. Wow, I was that old. I was 40. Wow. I thought I was younger. I'm not the boy genius I thought I was.
Well, you did come up with the other heroes before Spider-Man, so yeah, that gives hope to us 40-year-olds out there.
Hi, my name is Leslie, and I was wondering, how did you get inspired to do all these different characters and all these different worlds?
Mostly through greed. I wanted to keep my job and make a living, and none of it really, to be honest, I don't think I'd call any of the things I ever did inspiration, because I wasn't just walking down a street and suddenly, wow, I got an idea. Every one of them, it was something I knew I had to write, so I'd go home and figure, well, what'll I write? What'll I call him, and who will he be, and what'll he do? And it was like doing the reason I like writing, I like puzzles, and it's like doing a puzzle. You have a problem, you gotta come up with a new thing, person, feature, hero, and you have to think it out. First thing you have to say is, what hasn't been done? Now today, everything's been done. It is so hard to come up with a new idea. I have a company called POW Entertainment, and POW stands for, and I'm sure you've guessed, what does it stand for? Oh yeah.
Isn't there four?
Purveyors of Wonder. That's what it stands for. Anyway, we're working on a number of new movies now. We have one new movie that we're doing in cooperation with a Chinese, it's going to feature the first Chinese superhero. It's called The Annihilator. And it took me a hell of a long time to find a word nobody was using, like The Annihilator. And we have a number of others, but none of them are inspiration in the sense that the idea suddenly hits you. At least in my case, you just sit down, you think of what hasn't been done, and you try to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. How many people in here want to be writers like Stan? Want to create like that? There's a good amount of you. So we have the internet now, so you can search if anybody used the name, right?
It's the most frustrating thing. Every time I have an idea for a villain's name, I Google it to make sure that it hasn't been used, and inevitably it's been used by somebody. It is almost impossible to find a good name anymore.
All right.
But I found them.
Hi, my name is Kirsten. I was wondering, how do you reply to someone giving you a DC comic to sign?
Oh, I don't mind. You know, there's always room for the second grade of things. No, the fact is, I always tried to make it look like there was a big rivalry between Marvel and DC, but there wasn't. I mean, the editor, when I was there, the editor at DC was a guy named Carmine Infantino, and we were friends. Every so often, every couple of weeks, we'd meet at a bar called Friar Tuck's on 3rd Avenue in New York, and he'd bring a few of his writers and artists, and I'd come with a few of ours, and we'd have drinks together and kid around. But it seemed better to make the public think we were feuding, because it kept their interest up. But they're a bunch of good guys. A lot of our writers and artists work for them, and vice versa. Of course, now none of them would work for them because they'd be foolish not to work for Marvel. But Marvel is... I got to tell you a funny thing
I
about
have no job anymore. My job is gone.
Now, here's what I think is a funny thing about the difference between Marvel and DC's mentality. We decided to change our name. We were called Atlas Publishing. And after the Fantastic Four did well, and Spider-Man did well, I said, you know, to the publisher, I said, we ought to change our name and get something stronger than Atlas somehow. And I said, let's call our company Marvel. And I love advertising. And in advertising, there are phrases you can make up like, welcome to the Marvel age of comics, and make mine Marvel. There's so much you could do with that word. He agreed, so we changed our name to Marvel. Now, DC had been called National Comics. When we changed to Marvel, some genius at DC said, we'll change our name too and get a better name. And what did they come up with? We were Marvel, and they came up with DC. I mean, they don't have a chance. Welcome to the DC world of comics. It doesn't really play right, does it?
You'd think they would have made it Action Comics. That's a better name.
Action Comics would have been great.
That's a better name.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm going to talk.
But don't tell them.
Oh, well, they're not going to hear about it.
Hello, my name is Brant. I'm 10 years old, and I wanted to know at what age did you make your first comic?
Well, I think I was about 18. I started working at the company when I was about 17 and a half. I worked for Joe Simon and Jack Kirby. They were the whole comic book department. And then after a while, they had me write some copy. I wrote blurbs and ads. And then they'd give me little stories to write. I made up a character, I remember. The first one I made up was called The Destroyer. And I wanted to do a movie called The Destroyer, and I can't use the name because Marvel has it. I gave it to them, and they forgot about it, but I still can't use it. Anyway, so I must have been about 8. If I started work at 17, about 6 or 8 or 10 months later, they had me writing stuff. I guess I started writing at the age of 18. Yeah. I was there a long time. Yeah.
Hey, what's up, Stanley? Just a simple question. I was wondering if you would star just to be the main character in one of your superhero films.
You are a great man. I'm waiting for them to offer me a role. So look, all of you all have letterheads and envelopes and stamps. It's not hard to find out where Marvel's offices are. You know the rest.
What do we call it? Superstand? We call it Superstand, man?
No, I wouldn't have time. You know, if you star in a movie, that takes a few weeks or a few months out of your life, and I couldn't do it. I don't have the time. I wish all of this had happened about 30, 40, 50 years ago. I would have loved to be a movie actor, but today the cameos are quite enough for me, thanks.
Hello, sir. My name is Russell, and I just want to know which of the original X-Men you most relate to.
I kind of related, I think, to the Beast, because he looked like a beast, but he was the smartest and most well-educated one of all. And when I don't know if they're still doing it, but when I wrote it, I always gave him a real vocabulary when he spoke. If there was a big word to use, he wouldn't use the little one instead. And he was the best educated, but he looked like a beast. I thought that was an interesting character. I also liked the Angel, because when I started out with him, I wanted him to be very wealthy and handsome and conceited. and all the women are crazy about him, but he had one little problem. He couldn't hide those wings on his back. And I liked them all. Like, I loved Professor X. I love the idea of him having that great brain, but he was in a wheelchair, and it sort of balanced it. He had a problem, and he also had that great power. But I think my favorite, who was not an well, it was an X-Men, but he wasn't part of the team. My favorite was Magneto. I think Magneto was one of the best villains ever. There's so much you could do with a magnetic power, you know? And I liked his reason for being a villain, because he felt the human race hated us, and he wanted to strike back, and in his mind, he was justified. So, yeah, you know, the more I talk, I realize I love everything I did, that's all.
And so do we, so do we. We're gonna
do a giveaway for a ring. Oh yeah, my ring. I have a superhero ring, which Jimmy will tell you about.
Okay, just gonna do a video. We're gonna pop it on the screen so you can see it better. There it is. Give it to me. It's pretty cool. It has all the logos. It has the 4 X-Men and everything. And we're gonna give it away. It's
giving away my ring.
Are we giving it away? Yes, we are. You let go of it. You handed it to me. You got the important ring on that finger. All right. And this is, by the way, these if you don't win it, they're available at booth 600. It's the Stanley Collectibles booth, so we have them there. And they're by Bat Jeepster rings, so it's batjeepster.com if you want to check it out. So I'm going to throw this. It's a question, and the first one I hear or get is going to get the ring. It's an interesting question. What is the first non-superhero role Stanley ever was in? Mallrats, the first? Not Mallrats. I don't know the answer. Right, it's a non-superhero movie, so there's no, and he was in it as a cameo. Non-superhero.
Clerks.
No? Princess Diaries?
Two. Princess Diaries 2.
That's it, Princess Diary 2. Come on up here and get the ring.
You didn't say it loud enough. Stand up and yell it next time.
That ring has superpowers in it, so be careful. All right. Well, guys, it's time for Stan to move into other rooms, and I know it sucks, but let's have a huge round of applause for Stan.